New York Giants Week 10 review. The Giants fall to 2-8 after this loss to the New York Jets, the rivals, 34-27. Definitely an embarrassing loss against a team like that. The Giants were favored to win this game by 3 points. It was close throughout. The Giants definitely battled. They competed. It wasn't embarrassing. I definitely sound like Pat Shermer when I'm saying these words. I mean, the whole typical, we battled and we competed, that kind of crap. But there's no moral victories in the NFL and professional sports. So when you lose, you lose. Now the team is 2-8 on the year. Season's obviously over. It's been over for the last few weeks now, in my opinion, but now it's definitely over. And the Giants do own a top 3 pick in the draft for next year, I believe, after the Miami Dolphins won once again. So that's definitely good news. And it's sad that in Week 10, Week 11, we have to look forward all the way to April now. But it is what it is. That's what we're accustomed to for Giants fans, and that's how the last 3 years have been. And nothing's changed so far. So it's unfortunate. So let's go over the game on Sunday and see exactly what happened. And we'll start with the offensive side of the ball. So we'll start with the positives on offense. Of course, Daniel Jones as a passer looked really good in this game. 308 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. The numbers look good. He had 2 touchdowns to Slayton, 2 to Tate. One was a screen pass, I get that, but had a lot of good-looking throws in this game. The only thing is the ball security still, and I'll go over that later. But Daniel Jones right now as a passer looks really good. The problem obviously is the offensive line. You can blame Pat Shermer for not being creative enough. I feel like that's not the biggest issue right now, but still, I think Daniel Jones, especially for a rookie, has looked really good so far. This is his second game so far, I believe, of 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. He did it at Detroit a few weeks ago, so very impressive for a 22-year-old rookie quarterback. You love to see that kind of stuff. Darius Slayton, speaking of another young guy, our rookie, 10 receptions, 119 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Kind of figured he'd have a decent game in this one with the Jets' passing defense not being great. I said in the preview video I want to see him play more. I'm tired of the whole Cody Latimer, Benny Fowler, and Darius Slayton rotation thing. Just let Slayton play. Let him develop. He's the youngest guy with the highest ceiling. You might as well let him play. So he had 2 touchdowns in this game. Looked great overall. Don't think any drops in this game. I don't think so, at least. I'm trying to think back. There was nothing bad, and maybe he had 1 drop, but I really don't think he dropped anything, to be honest. So, Golden Tate, 4 receptions. I figured it'd be more than that, but still, 4 receptions, 97 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Of course, the screen pass that I mentioned before. So, Golden Tate, once again, looked good, made some big plays for us. And, he's been a good signing so far. I can't complain about that one. There's a lot I can complain about with Dave Gettleman, but the Golden Tate signing looks good right now. I think they're still in this contract next year. I think the year after they can get out of it, but right now we have Golden Tate for this year and next year, so we'll see how it plays out in the future. But so far, his production's been there, obviously, so there's nothing to complain about with him. The negatives, so there was 4 fumbles. There was one at the end of the game, which was Golden Tate. That was like the lateral play, so I really don't count that technically. Then Daniel Jones had the 3 fumbles, so he lost one of them. The Giants lost 2 total fumbles. They lost a turnover battle to the Jets 4-0, which is definitely not good when you're losing the turnover battle to a team like the Jets. It's not a good look for you, but still, the offensive line's a lot to blame for this game. And there's Eric Smith at left tackle, and we had a new right tackle and new center, obviously. So there was just a lot of crap going on with the offensive line, and no one really looked good, honestly. So it was definitely rough to see. And speaking of offensive line, Saquon Barkley, 13 carries, 1 yard. Goes back to what I've said over the last few weeks. For a running back, because a lot of it is your surroundings. It depends on your offensive line, the scheme, the system, the coach, the quarterback, all that kind of stuff. And when that stuff's not there, the running back's not going to be that good. So it is what it is. I'm watching the Vikings play right now, and the Cowboys. They just have great systems. I mean, the Vikings don't have a great offensive line, but they have good weapons, a good play caller. They make it work. Dalvin Cook, even Alexander Mattison, Ezekiel Elliott, these guys right now that I'm watching, they're going off. I mean, it's just they have a great offensive line. They have a good system for running back, so it works out for them. We have who I think is the most talented running back in football on our team, but because of the surroundings, it's not working. And Saquon Barkley's too talented for 13 carries and 1 yard. I'm sorry. It's not acceptable in my opinion. So Saquon's pass blocking, well, this is his issue now, so definitely can blame him for that. There was 3 plays where Jamal Adams just steamrolled him and got to Daniel Jones. I think it's in this picture, actually, that I put in here. It's happened a few times in this game, and it's just, we saw it happen against Arizona 4 weeks ago, and it was definitely concerning because we figured this wouldn't be an issue coming out of college. But Saquon Barkley in the pass protection game has not been great so far. We'll see if that improves as his career goes on, but this is definitely an issue to watch out for in the future. And the offensive line allowed 6 sacks, and they had no holes with the running backs to open up. So definitely not a good showing for the offense for the most part. Daniel Jones, Darius Slayton, Golden Tate, really the only guys to say positive things about, but outside of them, really nothing to say. I mean, Red Ellison had some nice catches at one point, but for the most part, really a lot of guys underperformed and stuff like that. So it's disappointing. And it wasn't their worst showing of the year offensively, but it wasn't great either. The Jets defense, obviously is not great, and I thought they should have done a little bit better, but they had some moments in this game where they spiked and they were just playing really well, and then some points where they really couldn't move the ball too much. So it is what it is. I think the offense, I guess did all right when you put up, 27 points. That's pretty good for the most part, but obviously the defense was the main issue, so now let's get on to them. So the positives on defense, they kept Le'Veon Bell in check. That was a big concern of mine. I figured he'd get going against a defense like this, but still, it was 18 carries, 34 yards, nothing great. So the defensive line, they had good penetration throughout the game. They got to Sam Darnold a few times in this one. They got him rattled, I feel like. And as I said, Le'Veon Bell really had no room to run at most points in this game. Guys like Leonard Williams, Marcus Golden, especially Dalvin Tomlinson, I think had 9 tackles combined in this one. That was a very good showing for him. So, of course, Leonard Williams, I think, had like 3 or 4 quarterback hits as well. So that was great to see from him. He was getting pressure. He didn't come away with a sack, obviously, but still, he was getting pressure. Marcus Golden did have a sack, had, I think, 1 big run stop in there as well. So those guys, they've been playing well all year. I mean, Leonard Williams was a Jet, obviously, for most of the season, but Leonard Williams had some nice moments in his first Giants game. Marcus Golden's been a great free agent signing, and then Dalvin Tomlinson does what he does in the run game. So I personally thought Jabril Peppers played a nice game in this one. Nothing really that comes to mind, but for the most part, when you're not blaming a guy for letting up a big play, you think Jabril Peppers had a nice game. So I saw him out there making some tackles. You have to give him some credit. So nice job by him. The other safety, not so much. I'll go over that later. So Sam Darnold on the first drive just came out and carved up the Giants. I mean, Le'Veon Bell did nothing on the first drive, and then Sam Darnold was like 7 for 7 for like 60 yards, and they scored a touchdown, had his own rushing touchdown on a read option play that very much fooled Marcus Golden. So it was a nice play call by them, and they made it work. The tackling effort was embarrassing on certain plays. I think back to a Jamison Crowder touchdown, I think it was, with my 2 favorite defenders, Antoine Bethea and Alec Ogletree, and they basically just made a simple juke move to the inside. Both of those guys, it looked like their knees buckled, and Jamison Crowder turned it into a touchdown. I mean, the Jets probably would have scored on that possession anyway, but still, the lack of tackling and the bad effort and stuff like that, guys not taking angles the right way, definitely concerning. DeAndre Baker had another rough game. He had the big pass interference call against him. I mean, he wasn't terrible in this game. I've seen worse games from DeAndre Baker, but I didn't see him make too many great plays. I think he had like 1 pass deflection, if I remember correctly, but he wasn't great in this game. He wasn't it wasn't his worst game either, but I still think he has more room to grow, obviously. We expect more from DeAndre Baker. Guys like Antoine Bethea, Alec Ogletree continue to bring this defense down. I talked about it before, so Alec Ogletree, they play this guy 100% of the snaps on defense. It makes no sense to me. I know they have nobody else, but I don't know, it just annoys me, and the Giants need linebackers next year. I don't know who the free agents are yet, but they have to bring in somebody, maybe through the draft. The Giants haven't drafted a linebacker in the first round since Carl Banks or something like that, some kind of crazy-ass year, but I don't know. I mean, it's very annoying at this point to watch a washed-up linebacker who's only 27 years old, I think, or 28 years old, in Ogletree try to man this defense, and it's not good. I hate watching it, and same with Antoine Bethea. The guy's 34, 35 years old, doesn't know how to take angles, and sometimes misses tackles, and it's not good. So I wish they'd give the young guys some more chances. I want Julian Love to play more, obviously. Did he play in this game? I'm not even sure if he played in this game, honestly. I didn't really hear his name called or anything like that, but I feel like he got some snaps in this game. And then as for the linebacker position, you're kind of just stuck with it. There's really no, since Ryan Connolly went down, there's really no one else to come in and fill for those guys. So it is what it is. So we'll see what happens next year with that. I personally hope Ogletree's not here next year, but you never know with Gettleman. So we'll see what happens with that. And now let's get on to some general notes about the Giants and their future. So some general notes for the Giants in this game, or just for the future, I should say. So there was a 4th and 1 call on their own 40 at the 2-minute warning in the first half, and some people, of course, complained about it because we all look for reasons to hate Pat Shurmur. But I really don't think it was that bad of a call. I mean, it was a 4th and less than 1 at that point. Decided to go for a QB sneak. Unfortunately, you don't get it, but you figure in most cases you get that. So I'm not really on the guy for that. I thought it was a fine call. If he gets that first down, we're all saying, oh, great job, Shurmur, to be aggressive right there. But imagine if he punted that ball on a 4th and inches. Everyone would be up in arms about it, being like, what the hell are you doing, man? Just go for it. But I think he did the right thing there. Unfortunately, just the execution was not there, but I think he did all right for the most part. Trying to watch the end of the Cowboys game. Dak almost got picked off. So the Jets in this game had 0 turnovers, and I talked about it in the preview video that Sam Darnold, I believe the number was 8 interceptions in the last 3 games. I mean, the Giants, I don't think, really came close at any point of intercepting Sam Darnold, and he played well in this game. He wasn't asked to do a crazy amount. It was mostly the Jets defense doing the dirty work in this game, especially Jamal Adams and getting sacks on Daniel Jones and stuff like that. But Sam Darnold looked pretty good in this game for the most part, so we'll see if for Jets fans' sake, if he can build off of that performance. It was definitely encouraging for them. But, when you have 0 turnovers for a Jets offense that definitely has a ton of turnovers this year, it's going to be hard to win that game, so it is what it is. Eric Smith, the fill-in left tackle, once Nate Solder got injured. I'm not sure what his injury is, honestly. I haven't looked into it. I'm sure we'll find out more tomorrow or Tuesday about it. But once he came in, he was awful, and that's why I was tired of hearing people say, trade Nate Solder to the Browns for a second-round pick or something. Like, if you did that, Daniel Jones would be on his ass 6 times a game, and it's not fun. Like, you have to finish this year with Solder. I don't care what kind of second-round pick you're getting for the guy. Like, at that point, like, you're just asking for Daniel Jones to get injured or something like that. I know he's not a great left tackle, but he's definitely better than whatever Eric Smith was doing in this game, and I think this basically showed you why the Giants did not want to trade him at the deadline. He's more vital to this team than you realize, and they need a guy like that. He's been around for a while. He's a veteran left tackle, and once he left the game with no preparation for Eric Smith, it was a very rough showing for him, so he looked awful, to be honest with you. Pat Shurmur. So this was a big game for the Giants. I said it before, obviously. I mean, I'm not the only one to say it, so I'm not trying to sound special, but of course, the Giants-Jets game is huge for anybody. And, he obviously did not win this game today, and it's definitely not good for him and his future with his team. There's a Hail Mary in this Cowboy game. Let's see what happens here. They intercepted it. All right, cool. All right, good. So the Cowboys lost. All right, anyway. So Shurmur, I think, with this game going 2-8 now, the good news for Shurmur is this. Daniel Jones' numbers look good. And, as I always said, I think part of the drafting of Daniel Jones was Pat Shurmur. I think he was Pat Shurmur's guy as well as Dave Gettleman. So Daniel Jones, his stats are not bad. His touchdown-interception ratio is not bad either. If you put it over a full 16 games, it looks very good. So I think, based off that, you can argue that Pat Shurmur should be back next year, but you could also make the arguments that the guy has no idea what he's doing in-game management-wise, and I definitely can agree with that. And people, I feel like, have me all wrong with the Pat Shurmur thing. I'm not saying Pat Shurmur is a great coach by any means. I don't think that at all, but for the people that always blame Pat Shurmur for all the Giants' struggles, that's what annoys me. Like, people act like if we had a different head coach, we'd be a playoff team, which is definitely not the case. It's more of a roster issue than the head coach. I know Pat Shurmur hasn't been great. He hasn't won a game for the Giants technically, but at the same time, we've seen worse coaches than Pat Shurmur. I don't think he's been that bad this year, so I kind of hate when people say, this is all Pat Shurmur's fault, blah, blah, blah. There are better head coaches out there. I'll fire him. That's fine. If Pat Shurmur's fired next year, or over the offseason, I should say, that's cool with me. I'm not going to be too mad about it. Of course, it's kind of annoying because it's only 1 year for Daniel Jones and Pat Shurmur together, and we figured that's Pat Shurmur's guy. But at the same time, if the Giants feel they can get a better coach than him, then I guess you go and do it. But I think if Shurmur leaves, I want Gettleman gone as well. Of course, you guys know how I feel about Gettleman. I don't know. I feel like Giants fans overrate the hell out of the guy. I went over a couple weeks ago. I think the biggest reason is because we just want to buy in, because we know once a new GM takes over, the rebuild kind of starts over again, and they want their own guys and stuff like that. And I don't think Giants fans have the patience or even want to have the patience for a new GM. But I've never had faith that Gettleman can build us a winner here. So I'll give Gettleman credit. He gave us a quarterback that looks pretty legit. He looks like he's the guy of the future. And Gettleman said in one of his press conferences that when he's retired, he wants to give us that franchise quarterback. And he already did, it seems like. I think Daniel Jones definitely has his flaws. Too many passes get batted down somehow. I don't know what the issue is with that. It happened in college, and it's still happening now. The fumbles are an issue. Sometimes he'll make a dumb throw, but we saw it in college. But at the same time, for a rookie quarterback, he's looked very impressive at most points. So, look, Gettleman gave us our franchise quarterback. That's huge. That's great. But I don't think this guy has what it takes to build an NFL roster. I don't think he understands everything. Definitely doesn't get the whole positional value thing with the Saquon Barkley pick. I keep saying it, but it's true. So, when you see a guy like Saquon get 13 carries for 1 yard, it kind of makes you realize, like, hey, maybe that wasn't the right pick, or, something like that. So, I do wish the Giants traded down when they had that second pick. I mean, as I said, I'm going to expose myself. I wanted Josh Rosen. Like, I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not always right. Definitely not always right. But at the same time, I also knew that Saquon Barkley was not the best pick for them. I figured it's either you go quarterback that year or you trade down. I mean, maybe you take Quentin Nelson at number 2, but that was kind of a reach. So I think the best thing they could have done that year was to trade down, accumulate more picks, and hopefully just find more starters with those picks. But it is what it is. And then the Colts took advantage. They got some picks from the Jets, and they made it worth their while. So got to give them credit. But for Dave Gettleman, I don't know. I feel like he's not going to get fired. I think it's a long shot. But if the Giants go like 4-12 this year or 3-13. I think John Mara has a legitimate case to get both of these guys out of here. I really do. I mean, if there's one thing we know about John Mara, he hates getting embarrassed, and to lose against the Cowboys in the fashion they did it in the fourth quarter in that game, and then the fourth quarter against the Jets, embarrassing losses both at home. I mean, technically both at home, whatever you want to say, but it's not a good look for them, and it's definitely embarrassing for him. I saw one of the Giants beat writers, I think Jordan Ronan or something, tweeted that he asked, he saw John Mara or something and wanted to ask him a question, but he just kept walking and kept his head down. So the guy's obviously not happy about it. Doesn't like to be embarrassed, and we'll see what happens with the coach and the GM. So if it were up to me, if it were my decision, you obviously have to see how these last 6 games or whatever play out. But right now, look, if they want to go in a different direction, then that's fine. Because I personally feel we will never win a Super Bowl with Gettleman at the helm, and same with Pat Shurmur. I mean, Pat Shurmur, if he had a really good roster, like if you gave Pat Shurmur the, what's a really good team, the Saints roster, I think he could win a Super Bowl with that. But he's not going to have that. He probably won't ever have that. So at the same time, you kind of have to be realistic here. So I think the Giants should go in a different direction. But the problem with the Giants is if they fire Shurmur and they fire Gettleman, I don't trust them to hire the right guys. They're probably just going to hire some in-house guys that worked under Gettleman or something like that. And same thing with the coach. They'll probably get some like special teams coach or middle linebacker or linebackers coach or something like that. The Giants always go in-house. It always annoys the hell out of me. The only reason Gettleman was hired as the GM, I've said it multiple times, is because he was willing to have Eli Manning as a starting quarterback, and John Mara didn't want the blowback he had in 2017 about benching Eli. He didn't want that to happen again. So Gettleman was one of the GMs, one of the candidates that said, yeah, I'll build around Eli Manning and all that kind of crap, and obviously set them back an extra year or so because last year was terrible. But I think the only reason he got the job was because he wanted to play Eli Manning, and then he also was formerly with the Giants as a scout. So I think that's the only 2 reasons he got the job right there. The Giants like what's familiar, what's comfortable for them. So I'm asking them, please go outside the box and try to get someone different. Like obviously the Giant way is dead. The Giant way has been dead for like almost a decade now. Like do something else, find someone outside and try to bring them in here, get a smart football mind, there's plenty of them out there, and see what happens. Roll the dice, stop doing the same crap over and over again if it's not going to work. So that's what I have to say about it. Tired of seeing these, even when they hired Ben McAdoo, I wasn't making videos back then, but I remember texting with my friends and I was like, this is terrible. Like, why would they hire Ben McAdoo? He had, didn't look like a leader at all, in my opinion. I was like, this guy, I mean, yeah, Eli Manning put up good numbers under him, but he was not head coach material, in my opinion. I really did not want him at all, but that's what they did because he's familiar with the Giants, and the Giants like doing what's familiar and what's comfortable for them. So obviously it's annoying. They'd probably do the same thing with the GM as well. So I hope the Giants do something different this time and just get someone outside, and hopefully it's a smart football mind and stuff like that. So of course there's a whole offseason to go over that kind of stuff. I don't want to go over the candidates right now because honestly I don't know who the GM candidates are. I don't know on top of my head. There's obviously some head coaching candidates and stuff like that, but until Pat Shurmur's fired, I'm not going to get myself crazy going over it. So that's it for this video. I'm thinking about doing a kind of a bye-week video going over Gettleman's moves as the Giants GM. If you guys want me to do that, let me know. I'll do like some grades about his moves and how they've worked out so far and stuff like that. Of course, it won't be a positive video if you know me, but yeah, I might do it. So if you guys want me to do that, let me know, and I will talk to you hopefully for the film review video, which I hope is out on Tuesday, if not Wednesday. So I'll talk to you guys next time.